But we'll get into that in the post show. So let's talk about what we're going to recommend to someone and why, right? So I said at the top of the show, for me, it's still the MacBook Air, right? The 15-inch MacBook Air. One, it is a really capable, very capable, and impressive laptop. It just is. Even though we got new ones coming this week or next week, and well, you can pre-order this week. They'll be available next week. Late November, we'll start having the more higher end stuff like that. But if someone were to ask me, even after seeing the show, hey, which laptop should I buy? That MacBook Air is still a very good machine, and that's still going to be my recommendation. The MacBook Pro, it has those new specs, right? Newer processor. Um, it is coming in at the lower price at $1,500, right? And again, there's some trickery with that, some Jedi mind trick that Apple's using with that. But even at 1,500, for that entry level, it's not that big of a jump over the M2,
Yeah,
right? The all the comparisons, those big numbers were all compared to the M1, not the M2. It's just a little leap, a little advancement. The speed bump that you would expect over the between the M2 and the M3. So I still have to recommend that MacBook Air.
yeah. So I've got the comparison up right now. So I'll talk in terms of the 13-inch compared to the 14, because
13, yeah, yeah,
and they are M2, right? We don't know when we're going to get MacBook Airs with the M3 chips. They can
right.
probably just press release that, so it could happen anytime, right? Because they're not going to change
Yeah, they're
anything
just gonna start
else.
sending them out. When you go in to buy
Yes.
one, it's just gonna have the new chip in
Yep.
it.
So if I look at a 13-inch, base price is 1,099 versus 1,599 for the entry level MacBook Pro 14-inch versus
Mhm.
1999 for one with the Pro or the Pro Max chip, right? So you get a slightly bigger screen, probably not going to notice a whole lot. Yes, you're
Not
going
gonna
from
notice.
M2 to M3, right? If you need a bigger screen, you go to the 15-inch MacBook Air, right? You
Right.
just do that and then you're good to go. But between the two, it's M2 versus M3, but you got the same number of cores, the same number of GPU cores. You can get the same
Mhm.
amount of memory, the same amount of storage. Battery life is 18 hours on the Air versus 22 hours on that entry level 14. So there is a
Yeah,
slight battery difference there. 4 hours is pretty significant, right? But I
I
don't
think so.
know. Is it enough? So beyond that, it's still you get a better display in the 14-inch because now they're getting Liquid Retina XDR versus Liquid Retina. They're a little denser from a pixel standpoint, brighter, all that kind of stuff. Most people are just not going to care. I need a
Right.
laptop so that I can write papers, answer my email, maybe watch some video and stuff on it. But
Mhm.
I am with you that your default pick should be the MacBook Air. Period.
Yeah,
End of story. Just pick your size. Pick between whether you
yeah.
want the bigger screen or whether you want the smaller screen. And then I think after that, your default, if you say no, I need more ports. And actually, I don't even know if it has more ports because I think the MacBook Air has two Thunderbolt. Yeah, no, it has
I
two
believe it's
Thunderbolt
just
ports,
2.
but it doesn't have an HDMI port or a card slot. So if you know you need that, that's a differentiator. Then the MacBook entry level 14-inch is your next choice. You go up the price. I really think
Yep,
you do. You just go up the price line until you hit on the one that's within your budget and that makes sense.
right.
And
That has
everybody
the
should
specs you
start
need.
with a MacBook Air. And they still sell the M1 version of the MacBook Air, which,
Mhm.
to be honest, the 13-inch version of that, if you are on a tight budget and you're going to be a student going to college and you're not going into some high-tech science or
Right.
engineering thing, you probably are okay with that from a budget standpoint. I would spend the extra $100 and get the M2 chip because
Yeah.
it's only $100 difference. But if you're really on a tight budget, that one's good too. So start with the Air, then go to the general 14, and then if you need the others, you'll know it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good choice. I don't agree with the M1. I think anyone should be done with that. That $100 price difference doesn't justify it. Now, if you find that same one for $800. You know what I mean? A Black Friday sale, because these things are going to be on sale, right? They're going to try to dump that inventory. Black Friday sale, any kind of November or end of year deal or something like that. You can find that thing, the M1 I'm referring to.
Yeah.
You can find that around $800 or something like that. Then definitely jump on it. That's an awesome deal.
That's the budget one, right? That's the I'm a
Right,
college
right,
student. I'm not on scholarship. I've got to buy my own computer. I'm working
right.
2 part-time jobs. I can't afford to,
Yeah,
go up big time. And I'm a political science or a history
right,
major,
right.
right?
Yeah,
And so,
no architecture, no
right.
very system intense software that you have to run for your class or something like that. So yeah, if you can find that thing for around the $800 range, M1 processor, then I would say jump on it.
Yeah.
If you're able to go with that entry level MacBook Air, then yeah, definitely get that one. Because I don't think now with it being $100 cheaper, I don't think
Yeah.
that's a good enough deal to jump on. So.
Now let me ask you this question, Jason.
Mhm.
Do you buy a MacBook Air now? Or do we think they're coming sooner?
Wait
So
for the
you might want to
M3s.
wait for the M3 or for them to turn around and sell the M2 at the $999 price, right? And get rid of
Right.
the M1 version. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I think it was coming soon, they would have mentioned it, right? If it was coming this year, they would have said late November or look for it during the holidays or something like that, right? Because they said, holidays this year, holiday 2023 or something like that. I don't think it's coming this year. I could be wrong. Again, we don't have any insider knowledge or whatever. Um, but they would have said it if it was coming soon. So I'm thinking early next year, maybe even the spring, maybe
Yeah.
even with the iPad refresh, they'll just mention it like, oh yeah, there's M3 MacBook Airs too now. But I think they're still too new, right? They were just updated early this year. They probably still have a ton of them, and it just doesn't justify sending that hardware back to get those chips,
Yeah.
basically refurbishing it themselves and all that. They probably still have, hundreds of thousands of units at at stores around the city. And yeah, I don't think they're coming this year.
I'm
But
thinking
again,
it's
I could be
March.
wrong.
I'm thinking we could have a
Yeah,
big event in March where the entire iPad lineup gets revamped. I
right.
actually
The
think
minis too,
we
the
might get a press
studios.
we might get a press release on the iPad mini before too long. I could see
Yeah,
that because that would be a pretty decent holiday seller, I would think. A little
I
bit
think
better
so.
iPad
Yeah.
mini. But I'm thinking March we might get MacBook Airs
Hmm.
and all of the iPads revamped. And we could possibly then see the Ultra chip with and the mini and the studio and the Mac Pro. Or,
Right.
maybe it's a March for one set of products and an April for another. So here's the thing. If somebody, in your life said, I'd like a laptop for Christmas,
Hmm.
get them the 13 or 15-inch MacBook Air with the M2
Right.
and just
That's
go
what
with it.
I'm grabbing their hand and I'm taking them to the store. This is what you're getting.
Do you want this
It's
screen
an awesome
size
laptop.
or this screen size? And tell me
Right.
which color you want because you can go get them in the store, right? No big deal. So,
Yeah. Yeah. They'll be in stock.
all right.
So that's all I had for the show today, the main show. We just wanted to discuss what we thought, give our thoughts and opinions on the scary fast, is what they called it. So I think to sum that up, I think the pricing was a bit scary too, but of course they're not gonna they're not gonna
Yeah.
brag about. I mean, they're not gonna throw that in that the pricing is scary, but yeah, definitely. So um, but that was it, folks. Thanks for listening. Again, if you're that person that everyone's going to for advice on what laptop they should get, uh, even after the event, even after all the new announcements and stuff, um, the MacBook Air
Yeah.
or that entry MacBook Pro, starting at 15, what it was 13-inch at 1599 now. That's
The 13-inch MacBook Air starts at 1,099 and
no,
then
the Pro,
oh
the
yeah.
M3 Pro is
Well,
I think
let me run the
1500.
price range here. So 13-inch MacBook Air is 1,099. The
Yeah,
15-inch MacBook Air is 1,299. Then the 14-inch MacBook Pro is 1,599. and then the 14-inch with a Pro chip or higher starts at $19.99. So you go,
Right.
basically $200 to $300 increments. The further up you go, the bigger the increment
Yeah.
gets,
Yeah.
right? So, and I would say that, just to wrap this up, if you've got a unique scenario and you want to get our take, use the feedback form. And definitely
Yeah.
listen to the post show, because we're going to talk about some nuances in the post show when we talk about which MacBook I think is best for me, and eventually for Jason, even though he doesn't want to hear
Yeah.
it. But stick around for that, and then let us know if you've got this unique scenario, or if you've got somebody that's going into a specific thing and you want to know, should I get more? We didn't talk about things like future proofing and all of that kind of stuff, because most people just
Right.
don't need to worry about that. I mean, you could get this M2 MacBook Air and have it for 5 years, no
Yeah.
problem. Get through all of your
Right.
college, right? All 4 years of college, and until you start making some money out of college,
Right.
and be good to go.